And welcome to The Foundry here on Raptor Road in Nairobi, Kenya. And welcome to you all on this World Social Media Day. It's great to be here. We're going to have a conversation. We're calling it Social Media Snapshot. How far Kenya has come in this digital space. When was the first tweet sent out from Kenya? We're going to find out. I have with me here in this first section, Mark Kaigwa is the founder of Nendo, which is a digital strategy and storytelling firm working across Africa. Mark, good to see you.
Good to be here, Jeff.
It's fantastic. Happy World Social Media Day.
Happy World Social Media Day to you.
Now, you are one of the veterans, if you will, of, Twitter, for instance, in Kenya, right? Let's take us back.
Sure. So social media itself has picked up, we could really say, from 2010, because 2009 was really when we began to see, for example, the fiber optic cables make landfall, 3G signals become more consistent, and just over time we've started to watch Kenyans look to the internet for more than just searching for things, but to create, to take part, and to commune. And so Twitter does become oftentimes the subject of conversation, but we have at least maybe a dozen or so different social networks that Kenyans remain active on in many capacities, and in many times they are actually active on a number of them at a time. But if we take Twitter, for instance, and we go as far back as 2009, even 2007 and 2008, to be honest.
There was some Kenyan KOTs.
Yes, that's right, right. KOT started about that time, so even in what we would now call PEV, you had people who were tweeting very, very early days, but in addition to text message, that was actually one of the main ways, besides a 3G signal and the internet, people would actually communicate on Twitter. You remember Twitter itself started and was ideally meant to be used over SMS and then grew beyond that. Yeah. So nowadays, we look back and we see 2009 as really a pivotal year in that transition from small idea with the techies and the bloggers and what were known as members of the Kenya Bloggers Web Ring or KBW. These were the earliest content creators, certainly the earliest community organized and structured, an association of bloggers in the diaspora, Kenyans, locals, who were exchanging information through the internet, through digital publishing, far, far earlier than
Are those guys still present?
They're still present.
The KBWs?
That organization, for example, has since evolved. But what we can say is many of the people who started at that time are involved, and many of them are playing their small or large roles in what we could now call Silicon Savannah, or just the city as it is today when it comes to technology.
Yeah. Okay, as we continue on, I'd like to remind our viewers that we are on Twitter, actually, so we can tweet in. Mark's Twitter handle is @mkaigwa.
Correct.
Mine is @Koinange Jeff. We're using the hashtag SMDayKE. Social Media Day Kenya, SMDayKE. Keep tweeting, keep asking your questions and comments, and they're coming in literally thick and fast. So, Mark, the exponential growth of Twitter in this country, I mean, it's incredible. It's almost scary, you know, from maybe a few hundreds back then,
right,
to now we are at, what are the numbers?
So we estimate now it's between what could be said as 1.5 and 2.2 million. It's a broad and very generous estimate, because the last numbers that we really have and work off of, at least at an industry level, came at some point last year. But we're confident that it's in about that range, with what we would estimate now as 1 million monthly active users. Right?
Wow.
And so now you have people, the likes of whom who follow and interact with you, with your show, with any number of people now. And some of the pivotal things that started that journey, where if you look back to 2009, there's your good friend Larry Mado was a budding journalist, yes, just moving up and down the streets figuratively and in terms of technology as well. And he convened what was the first social media televised interview at that time. I happened to be on it. It was a great pleasure, and it even kickstarted my mind to studying that as a platform. Seeing that a few of the people who had been interacting with at the time could say, okay, well, you know what, you should be on TV. Random guy that we've never met, but we follow and seem to listen to a few of the things you say. Yeah. And 2010 was a big year insofar as we saw one of Kenya's breakthrough moments in our digital history. We saw a budding music group here in electronic music by the name of Just a Band, and one of their music videos went in every sense of the word viral. Yeah. It went completely viral. It became an internet culture or cult classic. and that was this icon who has now come to be known as Mende. You know, so a red tie tied around, big afro, and high-flying kung fu kicks and a lot of action.
Right.
And this music video sparked something because it met this 80s generation of, and let's call them Generation Y of Kenya, who are now getting onto Twitter and other social media platforms, and it took what they had grown up seeing, the black exploitation films, kung fu films, and also took what we knew about internet culture across the world in the icon that was at that time and still is Chuck Norris and his seeming invincibility. And when people understood, because Chuck Norris in many ways, people equate him instantly with things that are completely out of the human body to do, you know, feats that defeat the mind. And so people take it to an outlandish extent, but people saw, oh, Mende is the African Chuck Norris. Oh, I have Chuck Norris jokes saved in a text file somewhere on my computer. I'll jump on this hashtag. So you had people all over the world.
And it was global.
It was global.
It wasn't just Kenyans in the diaspora.
Global. Completely global. And not even for people who couldn't point Kenya on a map. They actually took part, and that was Kenyans' own validation that you matter, that the world is finally, as Ali Khan Sachi would say so aptly back in those days, flat, right? And this is something I remember he would just say and say and say, the world is flat. And so him and a number of people at that time all testified to just the immense power of social media, and it got Kenyans thinking, if we can do this now, we can do it again. So we saw plenty more.
Yeah, tell me something, Mark. And the question a lot of people ask is, why Kenyans as opposed to other Africans? Because we are basically the most active community on social media. Why us?
We're certainly amongst the what you could call the top three. I think by sheer numbers, probably Egypt, despite them speaking Arabic, would beat us. Nigeria have more people with access to the internet in that country than we have a total population. So on the numbers, something could be said there. But to your point, I gave a talk on this same topic in 2013 in New York, and one of the things that's amazing to watch is that Kenyans tend to be quite combative when it comes to defending what you could call, at least up until before 2014, let me say, I just need to contextualize it, what could be seen as national pride. And so when you have the Nigerians have our football team, our national football team, and it comes out because of a sports journalist doing some investigative reporting that they're being forced to train in a school that has no grass and is in the back of beyond, that Kenyans now find any Nigerian they'll find online. And they begin insulting them. And so Kenyans went against Ugandans, Tanzanians,
South Africans,
South Africans, people in Botswana, wherever it is. And of course, no exceptions to even CNN and media institutions that covered us. Because if you make any kind of error in judgment or reporting, you literally have a digital, let's call it, Calvary. And they're just waiting to set the record straight, particularly because in 2007 and 2008, they sat back, people who could have had technology or would have eventually joined Twitter, and saw the world cover Kenya from a point of view that they said, wait, that's not entirely accurate, or I have something to say back to you. And so there's almost this intrinsic habit that if Kenya is being covered, particularly by Western journalists or Western media, that Kenyans will almost, put their differences aside, and these days there are a number of them, and look almost to making sure that they secure the digital streets and I guess, hills, valleys.
And we own them. We own them, literally. Which brings me to my next point, Mark, and that is the hashtag. Someone tell so-and-so.
Yes.
Who comes up with the hashtags? I mean, these are brilliant people.
Right, and that's actually one of the subjects of, if you think about somebody who's joining Twitter now, watching this video, they might ask themselves, okay, I want to join Twitter, or I joined because if you look at every news broadcast and many of the radio stations now in Nairobi today, you can't go an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours without hearing somebody say, tweet us, follow us, the hashtag is. So people have joined, but it does still take time for them to get accustomed to it. So for us, one of the things we did to explain this very question, where did someone tell come from? We created what we call the A to Z of Kenyan Twitter, which is an entire alphabet, almost like your ABCs, to explain the Kenyan ways. Michael Joseph called us peculiar, the peculiarities about Kenyans online. So Someone Tell, for example, came when Michael Mann, an anchor with CNN and Turner Broadcasting, was reporting or presenting a story that had been presented there by the at time East Africa Bureau Chief David Mackenzie. And so what happened was there was a grenade attack the Machakos bus terminus. And what happened is they misreported it and said, with a burning flag in the back, a graphic of a burning flag, that Kenya was now under some kind of, on the brink almost, very careful not to suggest it, but getting borderline, at least crossing a line, that it was almost civil war. And so Kenyans said, wait a second, we've seen this before when you take this idea about country and perhaps misrepresent facts. And so Kenyans found David, tweeted him, and made him issue an apology. Now, CNN at that time didn't issue a written apology in any way, but there was acknowledgement that there was a misrepresentation. This screenshot traveled far and wide, and that's when the hashtag was born. And it's been deployed to so many different uses, from televangelist Pat Robinson being one of the most recent examples of this year, of somebody who may have misrepresented the country and not known that there are millions of Kenyans just literally waiting for the day they can wake up and jump on a conversation like this to help someone see things their way.
There was another televangelist too, I think in Dallas, Texas. Someone
That's right. TD Jakes.
TD Jakes.
TD Jakes as
Same
well.
thing. He had
Same
to apologize.
thing. That's right. That's right. And many of them aren't prepared for what will be a tirade of hundreds of thousands of mentions. Some, of course, from the same people, but people mobilizing this idea of we have this set of hashtags that we have been using, and for us, it's a pleasure for my company at Nendo here to look back and actually appreciate Kenyans for the work that they've done. Now, part of where this came from was post Mark Mende had people desperate for one thing that Twitter was very slow to do across the world. Really, they did it at their pace, which was give countries their own localized trends. So we would actually look to what's trending across the world and then hope to see something Kenyan there every now and again. But what that did is that it set our ambition so high. Nowadays, just a quick, if I have a slip of the tongue, it could trend by the time I'm done with this sentence, right? Just a couple dozen tweets, because trends are localized. But at that time, to get to a global trending topic meant that you had to really, really have a groundswell of activity and mentions. So that meant that Kenyans would look for anything that would actually get that spark and resonate in the hearts and minds of Kenyans. And in 2011, the year after we saw Bakmende, we saw it with, as Kenyans were watching the Arab Spring happen in Egypt and Tunisia. We saw a very interesting example there of a hashtag that led to a movement where you may recall Kenyans at 1 p.m. on the 20th of February all met and stood still, gathered in public places, downtown, in social halls, in stadiums, and sang the national anthem. And that started on Twitter. It started in a conversation that was asking, we see what our Egyptian and Tunisian brothers and sisters are doing. What are we going to do? But there was, of course, it deteriorated after that because, this is the middle class, perhaps, and arguably so. This Boniface would argue passionately that they aren't as active. They don't really say and do like they would imagine.
Yeah. So we're going to take a quick break in a moment, but let me ask you one more question before we do that, Mark, and that is, in the last 6 years, let's say 6 years, you're talking about 2009 till present, we have had an impact, Kenyans, on social media. This movement, it has had an impact.
It has, completely. It's transformed, if you think about it, the way that organizations lead, because their leaders now have to acknowledge that they are, to a greater or less extent, in the public eye now, to where if they don't participate or at least listen, all of their respective sets of agencies and partners are all waiting, and if not engaging with Kenyans online. You have politics having changed. So one of the standout hashtags over these last few years was around the presidential debate, because that one also went across the world. It was one of the first African televised presidential nominee debates.
In real time.
In real time. And so that hashtag itself was a flurry of activity. So you have even politicians recognizing, and you remember, for the last election particularly, there was a real push towards engaging and mobilizing people on social media. The Obama effect had found its way here. And so our country has been changed in terms of business, in terms of culture, and certainly in terms of society and the way young people are raised.
Mark, we're going to talk to you a little more. We're going to take a quick break, come back. It's fascinating stuff, fascinating. And I'm glad we're celebrating this World Social Media Day. And that's what we're doing all over this country and across the continent and the world. It is indeed World Social Media Day. Keep tweeting. The hashtag is @SMDayKE. You can tweet Mark personally @MKaiwa. My Twitter handle is @Koinange Jeff. Let's keep tweeting. Your tweets I can see are coming in thick and fast. We're going to take a break, come back, talk some more about companies which have come on board this social media bandwagon and are making a difference. Back in a moment.
It's amazing what you can do with Safaricom's 25 MB plus free 25 MB for only 20 Kenya shillings. What will you do with yours?
And welcome back to the social media snapshot here at The Foundry. It is, after all, World Social Media Day. Thanks for joining us. Please keep tweeting. Hashtag is SMDayKE, Social Media Day Kenya, SMDayKE. I am here with Brian Munge from Safaricom, who's just joined us, Principal Officer, Digital and Social Media Safaricom. Brian, I take it your hashtag or your Twitter handle is?
At Munge.
At Munge, M-U-N-G-E-I. And of course, Mark Kaigwa of Nendo, his hashtag is MKaigwa. Mine is at Koinange Jeff. Please keep tweeting. In fact, let me read a couple of tweets here, because the tweets are literally coming in thick and fast. Misko Mungai says, we don't have a choice on whether we do social media. The question is how well we do it. Good point. Then there's a guy who I'm hating at the moment because he's overtaken me on Twitter in terms of numbers. Named Extiandella. Wow, this man is impressive. He's got 579,000 followers. More than half a meter. Closing in on the president. He's overtaken me by a good 4,000. Good for you. He says he's here, he's present, and we're loving it. Extian, keep it up. Good stuff. Keep tweeting. Is it about numbers, Mark, at the end of the day? Because, people brag about their numbers, and we all, it's great to see you have followers and people are following you and stuff, but is it about numbers?
I don't think at the end of the day it is. I think we've seen an evolution from out-and-out numbers where people are perhaps flocking towards people who have that, and more towards where people are listening to what people are saying. So not just looking where the numbers are, but listening and saying, well, these tend to be the people who are influential for X. They can end up being people with a few hundred followers, but they're engaged, and they have maybe a global network behind them.
So it's quality, not quantity.
It's quality, not quantity. Now, sadly, we're not there yet. Let me not say we're not out of the woods. So many brands are still afraid to make that bet. So they'll hedge their bets. They'll pick a few people with numbers and then essentially hope for the best, hope for something meaty or some actual results to it.
Speaking of brands, Brian, brand. Safaricom brand. You guys are very active on social media. Why?
We have to. I think it's one of those things where when we joined Facebook 2008, I think in June, that's when we first joined, we realized the update was really, really big in terms of guys were first of all, of course, attacking us, banning Safaricom. Oh, you guys network, my data.
And they still do that.
They still do, but it got to a point where you managed to get the conversation to a point. It's now an interaction. It's no longer an attack or an engagement. We actually sort out issues, we engage people, and they realize instead of me coming out fighting, let me first of all take my issue clearly, and I will get a response.
Do they listen, Brian? Do they listen? Because Kenyans, once they attack you, they're attacking in droves. Do you find, do they listen after a while?
They listen. They have listened on a collective angle. Initially, I think for some of the other brands, you get on board, you find the heat is too much. Slack, we say, you know what, I will not name names, but there's some brands I think can name, who came in and they were like, it's too hot for us, let's just
get off the highway.
But if you stay in there and you try and manage the conversations and manage how you are perceived, just humanize the brand as much as possible, then yes, you get to a point where it's all about conversation and engagement. Once in a while there's always some flair, maybe triggered by something, let's say like a device data bundle the other day, but it's something. It's a way of getting instant feedback.
Or
Bob, that I'm happy that
or Bob Collymore, CEO, saying he doesn't like Kenyan food. There's a topic.
Hey Bob.
Man, that one trended, eh? Man, Kenyans.
I think, like I said, there's something innate in Kenyans where nationhood can trump even the fiercest. We fell out, me and you, a long time ago over a hashtag or a picture or a quotation. And there's generally a freedom to agree to disagree, But in things that have some kind of national values, anything that has a value bigger than the individual, which if you think about it, it really is about that. It's about the ego. It's about, in some cases, sadly, your followers, your engagement rates, how much better are you than the next guy? So whenever there's something bigger that everybody can get behind, or they rally right behind it, and in this case, it can be, it's a double-edged sword. It could be pointing it at CNN 1 minute, the next minute at Bob the Beloved, in this case, you know, and yeah, I guess he's probably a bit wiser for that.
And I guess, Brian, you know, what Twitter and Facebook and social media is trying to say is there are no more sacred cows. Everyone is game.
Yes, there's basically it's an open playing field. But of course, that brings back the issue of ethics. How do you handle this space that you're being given to talk and have the freedom to say what you want to say? I've been seeing an interesting tweets quote going around saying. You have the freedom of speech, but you not guarantee this freedom after the speech. So this is one of those cases. You can say whatever you want, but like Mark always says, the internet never forgets. So a year from now, if you're coming to knock at a corporate door and ask, okay, will you guys hire me? I'm looking at these interesting consultants, can you guys give me a job? And then you go back, a few months back, there you are, leading an onslaught that is uninformed, so to say. Of course you can have your say, we don't say you don't have that, but trying to get the facts, trying to get the figures out, trying to get something to back what you're saying. That's usually the biggest problem we have as brands. Because we do try, we do make mistakes as a brand, but we always come and own up to them. I think our CEO has owned up to a few we should have had. Even some of our directors have always come up and say, okay, we apologize for that, we look at it and see how we can make it better. That's the kind of position that I think brands want. Not all of us are strong enough to come in there and say, you know, we stay through the weather and get to that point. But the ones that stay in get to find a very interesting conversation. We get to get real raw data from people in how they feel about the brand.
Mark, Brian brings up a good point because with social media comes social responsibility. And there are some cyber bullies out there. And some people who cannot stand up to a cyber bully. What does one do?
So that's actually something that historically has happened. I think one of the trends that the Nendo social media trend report picked up on was, for example, one TV show. It was one of the first examples of convergence of this global idea of what we call the second screen. The fact that if I'm watching JKL, I'm also on my phone here and I'm watching. What are people saying to you, to your guests? And as you said, you just validated it in a big way by saying you could be anybody right now, but if you tweet me, I will read your tweet. I'm Jeff Koinange and I'll read your tweet. Now, with that has also come people who have taken that power and said that for the most part, they want what often starts as humor, right? So they're going to say, oh, well, you know,
your hair's too greasy.
Or like, you know, hey, you know, it's like, what's it called, the jewelry, right? And so even as far back as I think the 2009, 2010, 2011, there was, for example, on the reality singing contest show, Tusker Project Fame, there was always the show itself, and there was a hashtag called Chuki FM. And this was just literally, the agreement was the gloves are off. And here you can say exactly what you want and hate all you want because it's contained within a hashtag. Now soon people have taken those liberties and literally just accommodated them wherever they want. So people now can tweet obscenities. I'm sure if you look at the mentions of someone like, take any public figure, Barack Obama, any president, any leader, Uhuru Kenyatta, you're going to find people who are saying things that genuinely are completely out of turn, and they occupy the same space as if another, you know, sitting president tweeted Barack. So you have this, the inches are the same, but that power, as Brian said, is there. And we're seeing the courts in Kenya and certainly across the continent and the world start to take cases like that. And in Kenya, they're setting precedents around libel, around defamation, around just freedom of speech in general as relates to the internet. And even, you know, as far as the Attorney General's office, there's, you know, in draft form, but there's actual soon potentially legally binding laws and statutes that can be, and amendments that once passed will have an impact on what you tweet and what responsibility the government and essentially institutions have to hold that over you.
Brian, the social media, has it been a game changer for you guys? If it wasn't there, would you be where you are, in other words?
No. Like I said, because of the insights, I think we joined Facebook in 2010, in Feb, and then we opened. We actually have two accounts on Facebook. We have the corporate account, the LTD, which we opened in 2010 in June, and then we have the purely customer sorting issues that we opened in Feb 2011. Like I said, we joined, and then we realized there's a special attention that needs to be given in terms of supporting customers. Now we have a whole team of 1,000 people who handle customer support issues, and a big percentage of that is actually handling things online. I think the perception is most of the time if you want to reach Safaricom, just tweet them. Right. And they will get back to you. It has changed.
Yeah.
And you'll remember actually the thing with that was Safaricom was one of the first brands, credit where it's due, to take and validate this idea of what's now come to be a global discipline called social care. So
And actually in Periscope now.
right. Okay. Very nice. Very nice. So they're joining new social networks every day now.
What is Periscope?
Periscope is I could actually show you. I'll show you at the commercial break.
Okay.
We can live stream a conversation, and we'll try it. You'll see there'll be plenty of people who will hop on just to see through my camera lens, me and Jeff basically looking, saying, give us a few questions. What let's engage you. So in real time, you
so
could stream JKL essentially
On
from
Periscope.
from the comfort of your couch. If you said JKL on the bench at home, and you just you sit with your tablet and you say, okay guys, give me your questions. So and so you say this. So people do that now.
Yeah,
And that's
and
the
then
social
they interact with you in real time with the video. They ask you questions, they can post comments, and it's like a community thing, so you can see everyone who's interacting with that video.
Okay, let me ask you this. Who are these people? Don't they have jobs?
They do, and some of them, their jobs are actually to tweet on behalf of other brands or individuals. So now you actually have an entire line of business where people are getting out of school, institutions of higher learning, and going to sit and actually do this for a
That's their living. That's it.
And they're digital natives. These are people now who don't know a day without a 3G signal or nowadays a 4G, signal. Safaricom.
Would you call them digital natives?
They don't know a day without technology or something with a battery that's running out or refreshing and something that you swipe like this. So that's literally the language.
Let me ask you both this question then. I mean, you're younger than us, but we're probably not too many years apart. What did we do before? What did we do? We went to a call box to make a phone call.
Yes. That's right.
What did we do before?
Well, now there's actually call box. You could call them graveyards. And I have a picture of one. It's lit because we skipped a whole.
There's a booth.
No, there's a whole bunch of them that have been dumped. It's a picture from the coast, and they've all essentially been taken to this place, and they're rusting somewhere. Right? Because we skipped that whole leg of connectivity. We didn't even go to the PC like the developed world did. So people didn't learn how to touch type first. They knew cyber cafes, but it's actually thanks to Safaricom and certainly all telcos and that when you have this phone in your pocket, if you think about it, I think it's crazy that when Safaricom goes on TV to tell you to tweet them, they're asking you to use a bundle to get back in touch with them to tell them what's wrong with you. It's crazy when you think about it. They actually say, and they're promising you speed and efficiency if you do that. So what's in it for them? Well, you can clearly see you'll get more familiar with social media, with data, and on the other hand, you get quick and fast service because they're assuming, well, now that you're on Twitter, we know you have a lot of stories to see, hashtags to follow, people to interact.
Just to follow up on what I think you asked me how social media has made us better as a company. The data, social data in terms of user behavior, how do customers interact with our services, how do customers behave in certain times of the year, when do you expect spikes and downloads, when do you expect a negative sentiment to pop or a positive. How do we know we are pushing out the correct services? How do we know we are engaging with the community better through our foundations? It's all about the data you can get from the community. It's just there for you to mine as a business. Mine that information, get a lot of insights that you can never necessarily get, but you can get very expensively by getting consultants to go and do it for you. But this you get it from the actual people who you want to get the feedback. So it's a pretty interesting space for us, and we are always trying to be at the forefront of anything in terms of digital.
Is the customer always right? Because these people who call you or the tweet and Facebook and they hate on you, do you find you have to address them? Do you have to engage them?
We handle every single mention that comes to our handles, all our social media.
And how many in a given day? Plus minus?
Let's say check.
Thousands?
More. Thousands. Because even if you look at social makers ratings, we're usually among the top 10 in terms of the Facebook queries we handle in a day. can even get to 10,000 or more. So we have to keep responding. We always have a team 24 hours rotating.
So you can't afford to ignore?
No, you can't afford to ignore. Whether it's just a comment of saying, great work,
yeah.
Any approach, you have to respond.
And Mark, that's the world we're living in now. You cannot afford to ignore that little guy out there.
Yeah, the biggest thing you can do for somebody who interacts with you on social media is acknowledge them. Now, in the case of a brand like Safaricom, they are coming under the premise that Safaricom told me. I mean, there's been billboards all over the city saying, join Twitter, that are paid for by Safaricom. So they're making an implicit promise saying, if you choose to do this, we will serve you. And serve you could be, you took a picture of what you had for breakfast and sent it to us. And we're like, I could do some of that where I am right now. But that's also saying around the brand and where they're positioning themselves, because they're thinking, okay, there was the last 5 years, there's everybody that we've gotten so far, but who knows anything about the next 5? And that to me, and certainly I'm sure Safaricom and you, is what interests us the most, and it's what we're constantly mining data to predict the future, and in any way we can actually create or realize.
Yeah. Okay, before we go on commercial break, Brian, this is your opportunity to talk to us about how will 4G change things?
Okay. We have seen so many ideas being brought to the table from the different technology communities, and we have the foundry also open in space for guys and girls to come up with great stuff. We've seen so many solutions, social impact solutions, technology solutions being put through the country in terms of whether it's for farmers and agriculture, they have to use their phones, whether it's for artists and artisans to access markets, how do you get markets online, you're promoting guys to sign up on OLX or My Market, all those kinds of products. They all need connectivity that's really reliable and fast. And one of the things we decided as a company is to go, because have 4G come up and say, how do we improve the experience when it comes to video? There are no videos on one thing, just go to YouTube and then that's buffering.
It's buffering,
it's buffering.
Yes.
You want to change that experience. If you're downloading something, if you're uploading, like emails, you need to upload stuff. People using Google Apps. Nowadays, everything is on the cloud. Yeah? Sorting out all your documents, slow internet can't work. 4G is the way to go. And for us, we invested a lot as a company. We have invested a lot in at least rolling out in the main cities first, Nairobi first, and Mombasa coming out later, to enable guests to have interactivity and, let's say when they're collaborating at work. But nowadays there are tools where all of you log in, have a chat room, edit documents simultaneously, be able to upload it, share, do a presentation from a presentation that's posted in the cloud. You don't have to carry around your laptop all the time. You can just log into a machine and plug into all the documents.
Laptops are almost obsolete now, aren't they?
Definitely. All you need is an iPad, just make it your stuff from there for the move. For us to allow businesses to work that fast and efficiently, for us to allow people to build themselves, and even young people, let's say you're an artist, you're a musician, you want to promote your music online, how do you upload such kind of heavy materials in a faster way to consume your content through all these platforms? So
Mark,
we are providing that.
Yeah, Mark, is that why Kenya is so attractive now? I mean, we're like London, we're like Paris, we're like New York. I mean, we are up there with...
Yeah, I think we're certainly as a technology metropolis, if you like, we've stood head and shoulders amongst other African capital cities. And I think really just to get to some of the point and the vision for Safaricom, if you think that when speed and really just the buffering, or you have no inhibition as to what you can do with the internet, then that's actually the greatest opportunity for content creators. So ideally, 2 years from now, there's somebody who could be watching this broadcast who could actually end up, all due respect, you better watch out, bigger than you, because if they choose now, thanks to LTE, so that's freed up spectrum that allows, with the Communications Authority, someone like this up-and-coming broadcaster to take a bench, not too different like this, and say they will stream their own TV channel and show. The license costs 100,000 shillings. It takes a lot to get it, but once you get it, the idea now is that you could be streaming off of Safaricom's big box, you could be streaming on a couple other TV stations, and if they come with an online audience, then in 2 years, all right, so let's even call it 700 days or less, they could actually have made a tremendous impact. So that's where we're going.
Should I quit while I'm ahead? I mean, Estienne Taylor has already overtaken me in the last 3 minutes, man. I can't believe I need to quit while I'm ahead.
Start your one TV station.
That's it. Online. Using Safaricom.
Yes.
4G. Damn, this is great. It's a brave new world. We're going to take a break, come back, talk some more. It's World Social Media Day, guys. Happy World Social Media Day once again. We're going to keep talking. We're at The Foundry. It is a social media Snapchat. We're talking to the players in the business. How far we've come as a nation when it comes to social media. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, you name it. It's a brave new world. Take a break. We'll be back in a moment.
And we're
*234*6# anywhere you wanna go, what you wanna do? *234*6# anyone you wanna be, what you wanna do? *234*6# start shining, living, winning. *234*6# start saving, it's all in the
Join M-Shwari to save and earn interest. Dial *234*6# to lock your tunes and rock your dreams.
And welcome back to Social Media Snapshot. We are live at The Foundry. We are talking about this amazing day today, World Social Media Day around the world, in Kenya in particular, with 2 million plus members on Twitter alone, millions more on Facebook. This is no doubt the place to be. Joining me now on the far end, we're going to talk corporate, we're going to talk social, we're going to talk personal. Ahmed Salim works for Cube Limited, integrated marketing agency. He's the social media fanatic. And right next to me, a man who's literally just overtaken me in terms of Twitter followers. And I'm impressed because I didn't think it would be possible in this time and day. Real name is Arthur Mandela, believe it or not. You all know him better as Extian Dela. He owns a company called Crescent 360, digital strategist, social media marketer. He's voted most influential African on Twitter. He's also the winner of Africa's Best Blogger 2014. Gentlemen, happy Social Media Day.
Happy Social Media Day.
Good to see you guys. Well done. We're talking a little earlier on. This thing is massive, isn't it? It's massive.
It's big. It's really big. Really, really big. And I think the growth of social media, it's like none other seen. Kenya is really active on social media, and people are making a living. I am making a living. I am testimony that social media is big and it's going places.
And you wouldn't do anything if you had a choice to do something else, would you? Right now?
I don't think. Social media is it for me.
Yeah. Ahmed, do the corporates get it? Because in this day and age, you either get on the highway, you go with the flow of the traffic, or get off.
We have a statement we always tell them, you snooze, you lose. When we set it up in 2012, it was a challenge actually getting corporates to buy into social media. They always look at numbers, what sales on social media get me. But then now with the way how it's picked up, with numbers all going, TV viewership maybe going lower, digital engagement going up, they have no choice. You find them now looking for agencies to try and dive into the conversation and be part of the digital world.
Yeah. Okay, speaking of digital world and digital space, Ahmed's Twitter handle is @Ahmed Salim, Extian Dela. He doesn't need any more numbers, but okay. His is @X, the letter X, TIAN, Dela, @Extian Dela. He's got 579,000 followers and counting. Extian, I guess a million is not far off when you think about it.
It is not far off, but we're in Kenya. So, and I think the most followed person is 800 and something thousand, 890,000?
The president.
The president. The president.
Yes.
The president.
And that's because he's the president. Let's face it. If he wasn't president, he wouldn't have those numbers.
Definitely.
You would be number one. How does it feel, by the way, first of all?
It's humbling to some extent. It is humbling to have Kenyans follow you in masses. But then again, one thing I think I need to point out, having numbers doesn't directly relate to the influence. You can have the numbers, but you don't have the influence. Jeff, believe you me, there are times I post something that I don't even get a single retweet.
No.
True story.
And you post a lot.
I post a lot. I post, I think, at least 1,000 tweets a day.
And you are good at hashtags, aren't you? I mean,
Yes,
I see you are Mr. Hashtag. If you were working for a newspaper, you'd be the guy doing the headlines.
Yes, definitely. And it comes with reading people, understanding what they think, and understanding what they love. As I was saying, telling you before the interview, coming up with a hashtag is an art that I've learned over the years. Simply, if you want to make something trend, you need to think about a topic, and you need to have 10 ideas about the topic. If you have less than 10 ideas about the topic, it won't trend. Because if I have 10 ideas, believe you me, Kenyans will have more. But if you have less, it won't trend. So over the years, I've mastered the art of coming up with just the title, depending on the topic of the day. Like today, Lupita is in the country. And I can come up with something just off my head, something like things Lupita has brought Kenyans, or hashtag what Lupita has seen in the US. So Kenyans are going to tear it down. Kenyans are going to come guns blazing, the whole 9 years, and just go all crazy on it. Because off the head I can say something. Things Lupita has seen in the US. He's seen Obama. He's seen
Statue of Liberty.
Statue of Liberty. Yeah, he's taking a selfie with he's taking a selfie with Rihanna or something like that. No, believe you me, that is just 4 or 5 tweets. Kenya's gonna come up with crazy numbers, crazy tweets, and in 2, 3, 5 minutes, it's gonna trend.
Ahmed, you were talking earlier on, and Christian alluded to it. Influencers as opposed to
Ambassadors.
Go on.
Well, it's a thin line. It's a discussion that people have with people for a whole day discussing it. Influencers normally used to spread the awareness, the word on the market, the word in the digital space. So what happens is, as a client, you find clients want to see returns. They don't want to know about the awareness. They believe I can put an ad, everyone's going to see it, I can boost my post, it's going to be seen. But if I'm hiring someone, I want to see sales and return. So you find that if today maybe you might be promoting, let's say, a particular brand X, tomorrow it's promoting brand Y, what credibility does it carry when maybe X and Y are actually competing brands? So you find when working with people like him or influencers, because for us, he's a client, he's a supplier, sorry, and we actually use him for our clients as well. So what happens is, we are very careful the person first we engage with. Numbers, yes, they come in because we want to know the reach that we reach, but then what influence does it carry? Now, will it impact a purchase? Will it impact a call to action? Is it a link to a website? Is it a subscription? Is it what KRA is doing right now? Will they make people sign up for the iTax returns? So you find there's a thin line, and most people, the more credible, the one which people like in most brands is ambassador, not influence, because ambassador is more of earned media than paid media, which is an influence. Because influencer has a rate card, has to be paid for a particular fee, has a timing that you can't do certain things at particular times, maybe because he's engaging with another brand at the same time. But an ambassador will do it willingly. An ambassador because he loves it. I'll give you a good example with the iPhone. Apple is zero on digital. They don't have Facebook, they don't have Twitter, they do nothing. But people love that brand. Now, people who go out of it here with queue up, long queues, just to buy the product, because they believe in the product. Now, that's the ambassador.
Why are they on Facebook? Why are they on Twitter?
It's a personal choice because they believe they want people to own it, and that's why you find there's a whole split of earned, paid, and owned media. So for them, they focus purely on earned media, which comes from the people themselves, because they believe if the product is good, if there's impact in people's lives, it will sell. And you find as much as it is expensive, people actually go out there and invest in those technology and the devices because they believe in it. Tomorrow, a new devices come out with the same brand, they'll still invest in it. And that's why you find it might be good, yes, to have members to spread the name, to spread the word in the space, but the biggest impact most brands look at is what am I getting in return? What is it that my brand is getting? So maybe you justify it as brand equity, you're looking at brand awareness, but then bottom line comes in sales. Am I getting my sales? Am I getting my sign-ups? What's the call to action? So when working with influencers, they have to be very clear. What are your deliverables? Your deliverables are to make sure that people are talking about this particular brand for a particular time of the day, or make sure it trends, or make sure you're sharing with your audience that they have a conversation around it. Sometimes it works, sometimes, like he said, it might not even take off. So it's all dependent on the topic.
Excellent. In Kenya, corporates have no choice but to be on what I've noticed. I mean, Safaricom obviously set the trend, and and they've ran with it. They're literally running with this ball.
Yes.
There are others who seem a little reluctant. You know, they're not quite sure whether they want to get into this game, and they're being left behind, aren't they?
Yeah, they are being left behind, and we are in an age where, like he said, you snooze, you lose.
Yeah.
So if you're not on social media, you're not relevant anymore. I was reading Mashable, and they were saying that at least 70% of people right now are looking to social media as a reference point before they make sales. They go on social media to see what people are talking about the brand. Because here's social media. People talk the honest truth without being coerced. They say what the brand is, the product is, and that is where you can literally get anything. You go on social media and search if this cup is good. You just search the Safaricom cup. What are people talking about? If it's good, I'll buy it. If it's bad, I won't buy it. Another thing on Mashable I read recently is that Kenya is ranked number 2 after Egypt as the most active social media customer care platform
In Africa?
in the world.
In the world.
In the world. Yes, it is. And you see, companies are now embracing social media because I think the response rate is I think 68% on social media, and it is actually really fast to actually tweet Safaricom rather than calling them.
Yeah.
It's much easier. It's much easier. So companies have no option than to get on social media to sell their products, to launch their products, to get feedback from their products, and basically brand awareness and marketing, everything. Social media right now.
Would you agree?
Yeah, I totally agree. And also, you see, the other thing is most brands, companies think social media is a cheaper alternative. It's not. You have to invest in it.
A lot.
Look at Safaricom, for example. Since we're talking about it, we just use it as an example. They've invested highly in it. They've invested in training. They've invested in technology. They've invested in ensuring that the responses are prompt and people prefer tweeting than calling. So if people who think it's cheap, it's not. There's a whole strategy behind it. There's a whole team that works. It's not just the person who's on the screen. And then the other thing we look at is with social media, you're able to build analytics that can actually guide your next quarter strategy or your next year's strategy for your business. So you find, for example, if we are working with a particular brand X, we can get back after 3 months to the client and say, you know what, your target audience is wrong, your conversation, your targeting male, actually your product is more engaging with women, and your age bracket, maybe you're looking at 40s, no, bring it down to the 18s, maybe they're the ones who are taking more market, and we give you maybe more Masa is doing very well, and you're focusing on consumers. How about now we do a proper strategy for you? All that can be brought in from digital.
In real time.
In real time. And the beauty we give is we normally give it a period of 3 months to test, because normally it can spike and then it can come down. But then if you give it a 3 months, you can have a collective average of how your brand is performing. So with research as well, like he said, it is truly that you might want to launch a product online. You can actually just hire a media agency or go to one digital space and listen. Don't even ask, just listen. Listen to what people are saying. Listen to what conversations are going around. You'll be surprised. Your whole strategy will come from social media.
Hire ex-Jandela, man. I mean, that's all you need. Speaking of which, you can live and die on this, right? I mean,
yes.
Twitter, Facebook, they can slaughter you or they can build you.
They can slaughter you, they can build you. A good example, Ticho and Chico. Yes, her show came on Citizen TV.
Yeah. There's a lot of hoopla around it. I mean, there's a huge buzz.
A huge buzz about it.
Yeah.
But after the first show, it died. Social media killed it. People went there and hated, and it was pulled back. It was just done for.
Yes.
Social media has made people. Social media has made me. No lie. Social media has built me to the point that from social media, I've now gotten into mainstream media. I've gotten into radio and I'm getting into TV because of social media. It simply depends on how you take social media. Social media is also known for kind of like bringing down Hisham.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, let's face it.
Yeah.
Hisham De Silva brought him down.
Brought him down, but he's still on. He's still forging forward. But social media.
Is it difficult to come back from something like that? Is it tough?
It is tough. It is tough. Let me tell you, 8 years on social media, I've learned to be strong. Really, really strong. You won't believe the amount of hate I get each and every day on social media. Thing is, you need to be planned, you need to be strategized, and you need to know what you're doing on social media. And the end game is what matters. My end game is business, is money, is growth. And if you're there just for the fun and fame, you're going to be hot. So to me, if I get insults or whatnot on social media, I ignore that. You know, on social media, if you ignore someone, they'll start wondering, are you seeing my tweet? Are you not? What is happening?
And they'll resend it.
They resend it. So to me, if I get a lot of hate on social media, I counter that with my pictures, funny pictures, with my trending topics. And at the end of the day, you're wondering, is this person not seeing my tweet? So you become like a fool. So you just back off and you go. But I see it.
And in the end, do they back off? Do they?
They do back off after some time, but some people don't back off. Some people don't. Oh my goodness. And that's why there's a button known as the block button. On Twitter. I love that button.
Press that.
Believe you me, having 500 and
79,000. And
numbers,
counting.
I've blocked more than 3,000 people on Twitter.
Wow.
Believe you me, I have.
Wow. Ahmed, the next step, politics. Because if you look at the last election, Peter Kenneth won on social media. He had the Twitter numbers, he had Facebook, he had one. But it didn't translate to reality. More and more politicians are on Twitter now. They're using this as a platform.
Actually, the whole political angle of it in digital is changing. When you look at the previous election, yes, Marcus Pereira, Peter Kenneth, they were all active and they felt, okay, I have good numbers.
Good numbers.
We will get this people. But forgetting the people who were voting on the ground as well, who were not on digital at that time. And the numbers are still growing, yes. Now, when you look at a situation like that, you can't forget that you can't do a strategy of a political campaign and just focus on ground only, forgetting that there's an online platform. The online platform for political is mainly for assurance, for communication, for guaranteeing your message, sending out your message, manifesto if at all they're followed. So what happens is, to convince, yes, you might get in one or two. Look at how our president is embracing digital. Actually, he's among, apart from one, he's the second most active president on digital. And he's giving everyone day-to-day updates of what he's doing. Things we don't know. Okay, would that change my mind? It might change a few percentage. People like, yes, I need to vote for him the next time because he's actually working. It has an impact. But now, that time it was very minimal. Now the percentage is bigger. And more politicians, as they're getting online, they will definitely have an impact with this generation. Because, let's face it, the generation is changing gradually. It's a different generation that's coming in. There's a time in 2007 of every young person who had a new ID wanted to go and vote. Things went chaotic, yes. This previous election, it wasn't as much because people were scared. But now, if there is assurance in the country, if there is the fact that, yes, you have a right to vote, you get based on his thinking, his strategy, his manifesto, then I think social media is a chance to explain yourself.
Yeah. Finally, Axiom, in the next 3, 5, 10 years, will this social media landscape change drastically? Is it going to be different a decade from now?
A decade from now, I think definitely it's going to be different. With more game players coming in the market, like right now, Periscope is in the market. Periscope is an app that lets you broadcast to the world live from your phone. From your phone, like right now. Like I was just watching Lupita
at the press conference.
Right now, live. Safaricom will actually streaming that on Periscope. And each and every day, new apps and new things are coming up. And to remain relevant, you have no option than to run with it and just build yourself with it. And I think 5-10 years from now, I think Africa is going to be one of the, if not biggest in Africa, one of the biggest online hotspots in the world.
I totally agree, because if you see these situations where companies like Google opening offices in Kenya, Facebook trying to come to Africa, set up South Africa just the other day, Twitter opening an office in Nairobi as well very soon, you find that they've seen the potential and can't let it go. Kenyans are active. KOTs, I think, have set a record that is recognized globally. Now, with that said, things are changing, trends are changing. Digital is so dynamic. How we used to post and sell brands online in 2012 is not the same we're doing now. And you see, for digital, it's a whole 360. It's not just social media on its own of updating. There's the media buying bit of it, which again, they're making money. There's the online PR of it, which again, it's a whole different ballgame on its own. And you find like in Kenya, not many have embraced the online PR side. I think in Kenya I can even vouch for a Kenyan girl being the best online PR person I know.
Yeah.
Because she has really embraced it and focused on that way.
Who's that?
Naomi
No,
Mutua.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What's her Twitter handle?
A Kenyan girl.
You don't know.
I do. What's that? Yeah.
She's looking at you right now.
Like Combo Colors.
So that's it. We find that those are things that we start thinking because it's not about the buzz anymore. It's not about the numbers. It's about the impact. It's about the conversation.
Quality, not quantity.
Exactly.
Yes.
And you find now, like, good example with what happened in Yakima the other day. Online PR played a role to stop it. They played a role, and I think she was one of the people who actually participated in controlling it. But you find that now those are the things that brand need to focus on. And then there's the media aspect, because having 573,000, you might not even get a retweet.
True.
Imagine a brand with just 1,000 followers.
Keeps retweeting.
They don't have engagement, so they need to get the word out there. So media comes in. That's why you find Google focusing and investing highly. Facebook giving agencies big discounts on media buying. Twitter coming every other day saying, hey, let's form a partnership, because they don't want to lose that space. Because if you snooze, you lose.
On that note, gentlemen, thanks so much. Ahmed Salim from Cube Limited. Good luck. All the best.
Thank you.
Extin Della, we'll see you at 1 million. Keep at it, man.
To get your M-Pesa statement, PUK, Bongo Points and more without calling customer care or visiting a Safaricom shop, simply log on to www.safaricom.co.ke and click on Self-Care. Register your phone number, username and enter a password. Get your M-Pesa statement, PUK, Bongo Points and much more. Do it yourself today. Just visit www.safaricom.co.ke.
And welcome back to social media Snapchat. It is World Social Media Day. We are live at the Foundry, and we're talking to some social media giants in their respective fields. We're going to go around the table real quick. I hope I won't forget the names. Brian Mungai from Safaricom. His Twitter handle is @Mungai. Right next to me is Matheo Mutua. Her Twitter handle is @AKenyanGirl. I got that. On the far end, Mark Kaigwa. He's with Nendo. You know him, very familiar figure. And of course, right next to me, Mr. Numbers himself, Extin Della. Has a company called Crescent 360. His Twitter handle is @Extin Della. Mark is @MKaigwa. Mine is @Koinange Jeff. The hashtag we're using all day is SMDayKE. Social Media Day Kenya. Folks, great day, fantastic day, and you guys, you know, we've really tackled this social media thing, and let's keep going, because there are some good aspects, there's some not so good aspects about social media. Mark, starting with you. No, let me start with the ladies first, because gender balance. Yeah, you've been very social, you've been very active.
I tried.
And there are good things about social media, and there are some not so good things, and people have to be aware of that, especially people who want to join, people who are thinking of joining, people who want to be part of this whole bandwagon thing. What's the worst thing for you that's happened to you on social media?
Personally, nothing actually much, but I guess it's
No haters.
very few, really, and I'm happy.
Is that a
to
gender thing?
report that. No, I think it's just what I put out is what I get back. Like, I mean, I keep saying, if you're ready to shout what you tweet on the street, that's your brand. So whatever you tweet, be ready to speak out for it, and that's what you get in return. In terms of the brands that I handle, we've seen an increase with people getting more vocal on social media. There's been an increase on attacks on brands, and it's a bit worrying, but again, you have to listen to what the consumer is saying. So there's good and there's bad, but at the end of it, it's a consumer talking to you. Yeah. It's feedback, it's valuable.
Actually, I know you're not going to agree with that, because you get a lot of haters.
I get a lot of haters, especially with the trending topics I do, and just with the numbers that I have. You get people on social media hating on you because they want you to tweet them back, and to actually have a Twitter war. In Twitter lingo, we call it a tweet or a tour. So they want
tweet or
a tour.
Yeah.
So they want you to actually hit them back,
Yeah.
so that people will actually see, oh, who's this hating on X Miller, who has the bigger number, the bigger voice or something. So people will actually go follow them and see who are you, who's able to stand up against this big person on social media.
Yeah. Worst thing that's happened to you?
Worst thing that happened to me, my account was hacked.
Oh.
Yes, it was hacked for a week or so, but I got it back.
Was that tough?
It was tough. It's my life. Social media is my life. It's my business right now. And everything I've built for the 8 years I've been on social media is because of social media. So someone attacked my business, hacked my accounts. Thank God I got them back.
That's tough. That's tough. Mark, actually referred to the hater aspect, right? And the engagement. People want to be engaged, don't they? I mean, the Mama Mboga, or the ordinary Mwananchi out there, they want you to reply to them.
Yeah, I think the best example really is someone I know you've spoken to before and all of us are familiar with, and he stands out as a real example that as much as it's the 30th of June and we're calling it Social Media Day, but that social media is actually every day. Yesterday, today and tomorrow, and that's Chief Karaoke. You know, the fact that he's actually able to bring people who have no concept of the internet, no functional literacy, some of them are not even literate, but they have kids and people in their households who understand that when Chief says something and Safaricom powers that tweet and sends it to these tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people and their mobile devices, that's the power of technology. And it even goes beyond a platform like Twitter, a platform like Facebook. Those will come and go, but the concept that he's pushing is something we can look towards that says, in the case of him, there's so many stories, they're amazing. You know, the lost goats, we've seen them. You just need to follow his timeline. It's the most amusing way to get into small village life.
Yeah, the brown and white cow.
Yeah, that's right, yeah, you know, or looking for chairs for the jama. I'm short of 2 chairs, can you bring them? Yes, thank you, Mama so-and-so, you just brought them.
Yeah.
Or so-and-so.
And it works.
It works.
Yeah.
And I think one of the examples that to me is interesting is that you have somebody in a matatu who gets a sense that the matatu is about to be hijacked. They text Chief Karaoke sends the tweet, we get a tweet, everybody else gets an SMS, they don't even know what Twitter is, but even the thieves follow him. So then the guys get off the matatu, and so you have,
they abandon their cause,
you have people who, their living is relieving other people of their worldly possessions, right? So that's how they go about it. It's the same online.
You were categorizing Twitter followers from A to Z. What was that?
Right, the A to Z of Kenyan Twitter. So we have all of these trends, terminologies, and ideas. Really, it's a way for Kenyans out there beyond today to get started on Twitter. Why is the letter Y for Julius Yego? Why is S for someone else? Julius Yego, as the story goes, taught himself how to throw the javelin off of videos he saw on YouTube, right? You have Z, Zero Chills. You have this idea that, you can actually throw social decorum and actually start hating them. So the people actually, in his mentions, are living proof that Zero Chills as a concept is theirs, right?
Yes.
And you have this entire alphabet. C is for Chief Karaoke. D, it was done last year, was for Deadbeat Kenya, for example. So where you have all these things that characterize Kenyans and the trends, right? So as we buy data and as we continue to publish and analyze, it's the best seat in the house to watch and actually help people take real business opportunities online and make a living from it.
Yeah, by the way, you guys know Chief Karaoke has written a book, or is writing a book.
It's about time.
It's called The Tweeting Chief. That's the title of the book.
I'm glad he got a book deal. I know he's gonna sell a lot of copies. That's somebody who did some smart business there.
Yeah. Brian, Safaricom. You're the leader in this. You're the leader in social innovation, if you will. Is there a lot of pressure?
Yes, it is. It has. We have to stay ahead of the curve. Once you said, it's always easy to be number one. Staying there is a problem.
I found that out this morning.
Clearly. They're always young and hungry.
Full of energy.
More, energetic people who come out and say, we want to come out and say, we are going to be the biggest brand in Kenya. We have a big chess man doing really amazing things. We have a few other brands doing really amazing things. And for us being as big as we are, quote unquote, we need to maintain that and still maintain the quality and the efficiency and still grow numbers. I would agree what they say in terms of social media grown wise now. There's a lot of attack, but on the positive note, guys are willing to respond. Guys are willing to engage. Yes, you will attack me, but I will be there to try and speak to you, calm you down.
Yeah.
It means calling you offline and having a chat with you. We will try and do that. It's not like we are just gonna disappear and attack us. Yes, we have to understand where everyone comes from. Everyone is different as a brand. We are open now. You have opened this kind of one where instead of someone calling a customer care line, where it's a one-on-one conversation, someone has a space to write where the entire world sees what they're asking you about, what issue they have with you. You can't hide that or an email where they have to take a screenshot and then say it. No, they just put it out in public and everyone see it. So you have to respond as a brand if you are to survive in this space. So you have to keep being innovative. If it's running out enterprise solutions to enable you have more people address issues in a more simultaneous manner, do that. Invest in that as a brand. That's what we actually been doing all along.
Okay, leads me to my next question. With what's been the best thing about the social media aspect? What's been the best thing, not just for you, for Kenyans overall?
I think it's the power of having a voice. That's really it. If you, like 10 years ago, you had to stand in line to see someone and hope that they actually did you the favor of giving you either feedback or addressing your issue, sorting out what you were paying them for.
And most of the time they would ignore you.
Yeah, you've paid for a service and no one wants to deliver the service effectively, including our own leaders and government. So that vocal ability that we now have, I think that's the best thing about social media. And in as much as we might not want to see it moving that way, the generation has evolved. These young people do not know what calling someone and getting feedback is. They know how to take and fix it. That's the world we have to look at. They're the ones who are taking over the brands anyway. So before you hire him, he has to understand what social media is. Even as a CEO, CEOs have to be online now. They have to represent their brand. So I think the power and the voice that we've been given as Kenyans, and generally as the world, that's the best.
Yeah. Excellent. Do you consider yourself a Twitter bigwig? Is that what they call them?
Yeah, so B is for big wigs in the 80s Kenyan thing. So now I'm going to sit back, as Jeff says, and wait to see how you generation.
Yeah. You are. I mean, you're a person to contend with, right? Let's face it.
I don't consider myself as a bigwig. People consider me as one, but I'm yet to be there. I'm really far. I compare myself with Americans, with the Philippines. People are rolling in the millions and just have few numbers. The problem is that if we settle down with the numbers, if I as Ex-Tiendele settle down with the numbers I have, I say, no, I'm the biggest Kenyan, I'm the most influential in Africa, I set trends each and every day, beat up my chest, we will never grow as Kenya. I always look up, because thing is, I don't have someone I'm looking up to in Kenya in terms of social media. I look up to myself and I look up to other people in other countries, and I have a lot of people looking up to me. So if I don't set the pace, if I don't grow, if I just be in my comfort zone, I'll never grow. That's why I never consider myself as an online celebrity. I never consider myself as a bigwig, because I'm not yet there. I need to do something big. I need to be better each and every day. Each and every tweet that I post needs to be better than the rest and than the previous one I posted.
Great point you make, Mark. It's fantastic, putting it all in perspective. And at the end of the day, is it all relative, these numbers? Because, Exton is alluding to people outside Kenya. Justin Bieber has 42 million followers. Oprah has another 15. Obama has, I don't know how many, millions. And here we are, we're celebrating 500 and change. Is it all relative?
Well, what I'd say is it probably comes down to the central question of how you use it. So there are people who the number doesn't matter, but the size of the check does, right? So it's going to be, if you choose to look at it that way, the question is what's the impact of it? So my challenge to Ex-Tiendele here is how many high schools are you hitting up on your weekends? How much of your spare time are you spending? You can even go to Safaricom, probably to their foundation. And because the question now is, you've gotten there, so who are you bringing up with you? Right? I mean, and there's something even for us.
What changes
right? Like as a business, we're trying to say, look, you're a young college kid. Maybe you've got an affinity for technology, but perhaps with the attention span, maybe not the grades. Or you've got you found yourself in a place where you have this career. You see things a bit different because you're digital native, so you don't know a world that exists where you can't tweet anybody. And so even the way you approach management, the way you approach leadership. So, for example, we work with Pan-African organizations, CEOs and the like. And one of the things to tell them is people who grew up, the best way, I gave a talk on this, you can learn social media lessons from each of the last 3 presidencies, right? With how people relate as Generation Y in the workplace, how they respond to authority, and how leaders need to respond to them. So you look at everything from the Moi generation, and it was the leaflets and the flyers before multi-party, that was social media, right? And you go to Kibaki's generation, and that was the advent of the internet. So the Jomusherus were having HTML websites, and the Africa Onlines were IPO. You had this generation of internet entrepreneurs who took advantage of that. And now, under President Kenyatta, you have a new crop of people, but there's a lot of similarities there. But the difference between, for example, someone under Moi is that they don't speak to authority the way somebody of today does. Today they're like, they can come and ask you, why, Jeff?
Yeah.
I mean, they'll walk up to you, they'll introduce themselves. They're like, it's possible for you to have this question. You don't know who I am? Like where, you don't know your place nowadays? Because the entire concept of leadership is expected you to respond to them and not the other way around. So when you look at it from a position of now leaders can't be static, they need to be nomadic. So that's an entire thing where they approach the technology, the way that they govern organizations, the way that they admit to vulnerability. So we did a case study, for example, on Safaricom, and looked far back, because Bob Collin was an enigma in how he's grown as a brand individually, now Safaricom has grown, and they've been almost toe-to-toe. For the most part, he's actually been leading us recently. We just checked this morning. But what you'll find with the two is that he's never been afraid to say, M-Pesa's out, I'm sorry. Now I'll tell you, those 2 words, it's not just writing them, and he wrote that himself. Yeah. He doesn't have people manage his account, right? So when you look at what that says, you have local Kenyan CEOs, plenty of them, who are now embracing this idea, and it changes the workplace, it changes the C-suite, and soon it's going to change their bottom line in their books.
Yeah.
It's a matter of time.
And government, and it might change his taste in food. Brian?
No comments.
All right, gentlemen, ladies, closing thoughts going forward in this social media space. Matteo, starting with you.
I think from a professional and brand perspective, what we encourage as PR is that brands need to stop being afraid of being in the space. These are their consumers. They better tap into what is available and learn to interact with the consumer. Because otherwise, the consumer is always going to be attacking the brand. That's on a PR perspective. In terms of users, we need to understand that what you put out there, the internet doesn't forget. At some point, someone's going to want to hire you, and we're going to do our research. So, in as much as you have an opinion and a personality, you should want to put out the best of you out there.
Because it'll come back to haunt you.
Or it will shape who you are, really. Yeah? Because whatever it's like your grades in school. So now, how are you doing on Twitter? If your brand is positive and good, chances are you will end up in a good place. So people need to think really about what they do. It does come back, yes. At some point.
Yeah. Good point, man. Good point. Brian?
I guess for us as a brand is to encourage players to see social media as a way to talk to us. If you have issues, come out. Guys will respond. Come out expecting a positive response or a resolution to whatever issue you have. It doesn't always have to be about fighting. Yes, you can raise your issue, we are right. You can always do that. But it's like when you talk to someone in the streets, you don't just come out and just say, hey Jeff, something's
confrontational.
Yes. Yeah. Come out and just say, okay, you guys, what's happening? Why? Like Marco said, why is this happening? This happening? And we will respond. And then finally, I would like to say, we have come from a place who Mark says, they're not digital native, so guys we came along the way, where we found the web. Now we're in the age of the internet, now we're going to mobile internet. And basically, someone said a long time ago, the web is dead, don't leave the internet. Remember that place? This is that place where you can't put a limit to what is available on social media or on the internet. It's open, it's an open canvas. Grow what you want to grow, build a career out of it. Become a positive influencer in the society in that space. Become as a brand, create awareness and engagement through that space without being fearful of what might happen, because you can always manage it to some extent. So that's pretty much it. Let's keep engaging, let's keep going on social media, let's explore new platforms as we're going forward, and I'm sure we'll have a lot of new things coming up to the country in the next few months.
Absolutely.
Sure. Mine is just for all the youth and the young guys tweeting me. And
How old are you, by the way?
I'm 25. I'm 25.
Half my age.
Yes, it's just to all the guys out there tweeting me and saying, XTNL, I think you know a lot of corporates. Please hook me up with a job. And if you're tweeting, you have bundles, you're actively tweeting me. Hey, I'm making a living, and I made my career from social media, from tweeting. So you can build something, as he was saying, build a brand out of it. And as Naomi said, watch what you tweet. The internet never, ever, ever forgets. Watch out on the brands. I've had my own fair share of attacking brands that later on came biting me back, and I learned the hard way not to hit on brands, because at the end of the day they're the ones that put food on your table. So I've learned how to back off, I've learned how to deal with brands, and basically, yeah, plan your content. You'd be shocked that I sleep 4 hours every day. I'm awake 20 hours planning my content and just building on who I am. Social media is my life. If you're into this as a business, take it as a business. Make it serious. Don't think you're gonna get to the Safaricom's or to the Mark Kaigers or to the Jeff Koinanges without paper, without documentation, without strategy and everything. You need to be structured, you need to be planned, you need to know your craft and your art really, really well.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you need to have a thick back or thick skin.
Definitely.
Thick skin. Mark Kaiwa, you get the last word.
Sure. So I think I definitely agree with everything that's been said. For me, I'll break it down almost to 3 points for 3 different sets of people. First, if you're corporate, I think one of the predictions that we've worked on, and we're working with our clients, we see it and we predict this is going to be the year we watch it fully realize, is what we're calling the age of employed media. So where we really see brands tactfully and tastefully making use of individuals who are digitally inclined and are joining this workforce. All right, you don't tell them what to tweet, you don't tell them how to tweet, you don't tell them to give you their passwords, and you certainly don't tell them to sign pieces of paper they had no process in coming up with. But you engage them in a way expecting that if you create a process through their careers, really, that over the course of time that they choose to be associated with you and work alongside you, that they would actually put a bit more skin in the game and step up, right? So you give them a platform for them to rise up the challenge and say, I work for Safaricom, and hey, so and so, this is how you can sort it, in my personal capacity. Not paid, not asked for, but that's the age we're getting to, and it's amazing, I think, to have 5 years worth of trends on Kenyans and Africans to build on, to actually build the tools and case studies of what this next age will be. The second thing is, if you're a brand, look at the last 10, 20 tweets you did. If it looks like something where you're desperate, and essentially you could have taken that, and it's one-way traffic, okay? So you're basically putting what could be an editorial in the paper. Picture of this, I was here, I did that. I'm actually pointing out to government in particular. We were here, we did that.
Yeah.
The point of social media is not to give us an editorial and timeline of your day. It's to engage us in the process of governing and running this nation. And for all the Twitter chats we had last year, we haven't seen the exact same kind of engagement. So, all right, so it's a challenge. I'm going to be giving a few words this evening. I know some of my learned colleagues in the public sector will be there. We want to engage, but at the end of the day, brand or public sector, if you look at the last 10 tweets and it's one-way traffic, you're doing it wrong, right? And the truth is, you can do social media wrong, but your numbers look good. But nobody will ever tell you, because you trend every so often, all right? So the question is, for Kenyan brands and African brands, is okay? Is good enough? Because if it is, then good luck to you sticking around and being relevant the next 5 years. Figure out, you probably spent over 5-10 million shillings or so in people, agencies, brands, campaigns. But the next 5 years, you'll be toast if you don't actually have strategy holding that together, right? And then lastly, for any personal brand out there, first of all, you're a personal brand, you are, he is, they, you are, everybody here. There's a lot of people behind the camera, by the way. And the second I Google you, I'm going to go off of your Google CV, not what you tell me, right? Because that's what's going to speak to me. And if I don't find anything, or maybe there's somebody that's younger than you who's been partying and making a name for themselves on the internet, trust me, I'll be like, what were you doing about it? Because you've got a great CV, but the age of the CV is dead. Long live the bio. So begin writing yours, and that's all I got.
We're becoming more and more obsolete, us older ones.
I told you, 2 years. You have 2 years. There's somebody watching right now.
Who's gonna take this over? Okay, finally, do we see the age or the time when there will be a social media multi-millionaire? You guys, out of you guys, are they coming? Or even billionaire?
Yes, definitely.
Yes.
Yeah?
I'm gonna be one of those. I'm working towards that.
I was waiting to hear that.
I'm working towards that.
Mark, extended. Brian, without, well done, guys. Great conversation. Let's keep talking. Because the minute we stop talking is the minute we start fighting. That's what I keep saying. And this social media thing, it's a game changer. It can change the landscape. It is changing the landscape, and we have no choice. Let's keep doing what we do best. And 5 years, 10 years from now, we'll have another conversation. I'll have been long retired, but you know, I'll come back with my 2 million followers. Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Keep chatting, keep talking, keep tweeting. The hashtag we're using is SMDayKE. Social Media Day Kenya. SMDayKE. Keep tweeting us, keep talking, keep chatting. Get on board this bandwagon. Because if you don't, you snooze, you lose. Oh my. Thanks so much for joining us. Good luck. God bless.